at ARC schools. We're a group of 34 academy schools all over England. And before I worked at ARC schools, head of assessment, before that I was a secondary English teacher in schools in London. So that's my background. My background's of teaching in secondary schools. But as I'm now head of assessment, and as Jeff said as well, I've written a book about education as well. So I'm here today to talk about 21st century skills. What are they? How should we teach them? And I want to keep it as broad as possible. I work now across primaries and secondaries, but I'd like to just look at the role of 21st century skills in learning and in education in general, not just at the school level. So I think the phrase 21st century skills is a very popular one. There's lots of discussions out there about them. And as I say, very common in all phases of education, in universities and in schools as well. But even though it's a very widely discussed idea, I don't think there's necessarily a widely accepted or shared definition of 21st century skills. So I thought to begin with, I'd just pick out a couple of 21st century skills that generally tend to crop up on most people's lists of such skills. And whilst you might sort of quibble with one or two of those, generally I think the idea around 21st century skills is they're going to be the kind of skills that are more important in the 21st century because of the way that the economy and society is changing, and often because of the way that the economy and society are changing because of technology. So these kind of skills are going to be particularly important over the next few decades because of all the changes that are happening in the world. So just to give you a bit more of an idea about that, I've got coming up on the next few slides a few quotations from some thinkers in this area who have put forward the reasons why they think such skills are going to be important. So the first one coming from the late 90s, from an influential government report on this. Here we go. So there again, that's what those key skills are. These are the skills that are going to be really important in the future that you won't be able to do without. And another one coming up from Russell Hobby, the Secretary General of the NAHT, the Head Teachers Union. What kind of jobs are my children going to do? Are there going to be jobs left for them to do? And in fact, that's been an even more recent worry around this. Traditionally, it's been thought that perhaps the traditional professions will be a point of stability amidst all this change. That professions like medicine, law, accountancy, teaching will be kind of safe havens from this disruptive technological change. But there's been a recent really fascinating book by Richard and Daniel Susskind called The Future of the Professions, where they argue that not even the professions are safe from this technological change. And in actual fact, the professions as we know them will be transformed by technology. So a quotation from an article they've written about this. So as I say, in some ways quite exciting, in some ways perhaps slightly apocalyptic, a little bit scary. And what I want to do now then is to think a little bit more about these key skills, and then, as the title of my talk suggests, to then think a bit more about how we can best teach such skills. And if there's a debate over that, what the best way to do it might be. So first of all then, if we just step back a bit, we've looked at these skills, we've looked at why they might be important, and let's consider, are they really that important? So we've seen a bunch of important people telling us they're important. Are they as important as that? Are they necessary for people to thrive in the new economy and society? And I would say, on balance, I would agree that yes, they do really matter. And I would say they are only going to get more important economically. And we can see from all the changes that are happening in the economy that some of those routine not just routine manual jobs, but even routine cognitive jobs are being outsourced. They can be done more efficiently by computers. So the importance of those things like creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, problem solving, they absolutely are absolutely vital. So I would agree with that section of it. However, I have two important caveats, I think, to some of the rhetoric that's gone before, and that's what I want to spend the rest of this speech discussing. So first of all,